And breaking right now, take a look at the streets of Philadelphia where you have thousands and thousands of folks celebrating the Eagles' first Super Bowl win over the Patriots. Final score of that game, 41-33. Eagles beat the Patriots, Super Bowl 52.
I just finished speaking with Commissioner Roger Goodell about Atlanta and Super Bowl 53.
It's the story you've been talking about on social media all night long. Tonight we're talking with Sterling K. Brown about what it's like to play Randall on This Is Us.
A man saves a woman's life on the side of the road. Now he's being charged with obstruction of justice. Really?
We all like the Super Bowl, but we love the commercials. Was your favorite the talk of the town?
But first,
his spirit, how he lived, how he was always happy, smiling. I don't think I can recall ever a day where he was down.
And tonight, while millions of Americans are thinking about football, the family of one player from Atlanta is planning a funeral. Indianapolis Colts linebacker Edwin Jackson was struck and killed early this morning by a suspected drunk driver. But rather than the crime, we're going to focus on this terrible loss of a young man who worked so hard to earn his number 53 jersey. Chris Hopper spoke to some of those who knew Jackson best.
And I went to the Jackson family home tonight. As you can imagine, they didn't want to talk. There's just too much emotion inside that house right now. I'll tell you, there's a number of family members and friends all gathering together tonight to not only remember Jackson, but to comfort each other during this very difficult time.
Just knowing that it's other guys counting on me. I'm real physical. I like to tackle. I like to run fast. I like to make big plays.
Tonight, the Indianapolis Colts tweeted this touching tribute to their fallen linebacker, Edwin Jackson. Jackson grew up in Metro Atlanta. He graduated from Westlake High School, where he starred as a linebacker and special teams player. He walked on to Georgia Southern, managed to make it to the NFL, and started in a number of games for the Colts. Police believe a drunk driver hit and killed Jackson and his Uber driver early Sunday morning. Tonight, those closest to him are in disbelief, including his high school coach, Sam Covington.
We would have had, 40 or 50 more Edwin Jacksons on the team. It made the job a lot easier. A great spirit. He was always happy, always laughing, always smiling. It wouldn't be Edwin if, he didn't make everybody else laugh. It's just like, watching my own, child on TV and then just sit back and smile and just say, hey, you made it. You're living the dream.
And we couldn't show all of what we're seeing on social media tonight. It's being felt across the NFL, across the sports world, and specifically with the Indianapolis Colts. If you look on their Twitter page tonight, you'll see current and former players tweeting their condolences to the Jackson family and certainly remembering Edwin for all he brought to the team.
And tonight, the Jackson family sent us a brief statement. They say Edwin was an amazing young man who filled their lives with joy and with pride, and they want everyone to remember his amazing smile. You can share your condolences on our 11 Alive Facebook page. So Super Bowl 52 is over and the Eagles have won, so the countdown begins to Super Bowl 53 here in Atlanta, and everyone's thinking about the weather, especially after today's icy mix. We're talking about everything from rain pelting our area to Atlanta getting nearly 1.5 inches of it, some icy rain falling north of the city and thunderstorms to the south, the rain leading to some ponding on local roads. This mix of weather created a heavy fog as well around the North Georgia area. And of course, when you mix that rain with cold, you end up with these guys, some icicles peppering boulders in Hiawassee. And Chris, if the Super Bowl was here today, we know we wouldn't have had a great day. But what does history tell us?
Well, our Super Bowl is going to be held on February 3rd of 2019. And let me tell you, anything can happen at that time of year. So we looked back to see what types of weather we've had on a February 3rd. And just last year, we had some rain around, not a lot, and temperatures were right where we should be. The year before that, in 2016, we had a lot of rain, more than 2 inches with temperatures that were warm, up to 68. The year before that, just the opposite, dry and cold, a low of 25 and a high of 51. In 2014, about a ½ inch of rain and warm again. And then in 2013, that's right where we should be for this time of year with dry conditions, lows near freezing and highs in the 50s. What are some of the extremes for February 3rd? The average high 54. The average low should be around 36. The hottest February 3rd that we've ever had, 76 degrees in 1995. The coldest was 2 degrees. That's similar to what they had in Minneapolis, and that was set in 1917. We've had rainy conditions before. We've had more than 3 inches of rain in 1920 there on February 3rd. And yes, we've even had snow on February 3rd before, about a ½ inch. That was in 1996. We have not ever had any recorded tornadoes in Fulton County on February 3rd. But we have had some thunderstorms. So as you can see, anything can happen on a February 3rd. Of course, it's too early to pinpoint exactly what will happen a year out, but the 11 Alive storm trackers will let you know when we get closer to it.
All right, thanks, Chris. You know, nobody in Philly getting any sleep tonight. The party going strong in the city of brotherly love after the Eagles shut down Tom Brady and the Patriots for their first Super Bowl win. And now the countdown begins to Super Bowl 53 in Atlanta. Jeff Hollinger caught up with NFL Commissioner Roger Goodell after the game.
I'm Jeff Hollinger in Minneapolis. The Eagles have landed. After a drought going back to 1960, they are the NFL champions. A good job by Minneapolis and a good job for Super Bowl 52. Now Atlanta is on the clock, and as soon as Commissioner Roger Goodell finished presenting the Lombardi Trophy, I had the opportunity to talk with him. Commissioner, now on to Atlanta. Are you excited about Atlanta?
I'm still trying to get over this one. That was the greatest football game, and I'm really, it's just fantastic.
Everything done well in Minnesota this week.
Minnesota did a fantastic job. You could not have had better hosts, and they did everything and ended it with a great game. It's just great for everybody.
And the Atlanta Host Committee is set and ready to go in your estimation?
Oh, yeah, they're hard at work. We're going to hand the keys off tomorrow morning. They'll be in great shape. We'll look forward to being there, but right now we're going to enjoy this one.
And as Commissioner Goodell mentioned in the interview, that handoff will go on tomorrow morning at the Mall of America and 11 Alive. We will be all over it for you. From Minneapolis, I'm Jeff Hollinger, 11 Alive News.
And I'm Ryan Kruger. We know the real contest was for the best commercial of the night. What was your favorite? Pull out your phone right now. Head to 11alive.com/vote. You can vote for your favorite. Looks like the Doritos commercial is winning right now. We're going to share your favorites at the end of the show.
I'm Natisha Lance with your Speed Feed. You've probably seen these pictures on Facebook all day long. We now know that Amtrak crash that happened in South Carolina was because the train was on the wrong track. There were 2 Amtrak workers who were killed in that crash. Take a listen to how one passenger described what happened.
That thing threw us across the room like you would not believe. I just got rug burn on my back. I mean, it was that bad.
This is the second Amtrak crash in less than a week. You might remember the other crash last Wednesday when a train carrying a group of GOP lawmakers slammed into a truck that was stopped on the tracks. 3 generations of people killed in a single car accident. That happened in South Carolina. 11 people were packed into a Chevy Trailblazer on the way to a hospital delivery room when the car rolled. 2 unborn children, a teenager, a woman, and a man all killed. The rest of the people in that vehicle are in the hospital right now. USA Gymnastics says they're going to require athletes to be chaperoned by someone other than a coach at 4 upcoming events. They're also skipping several international competitions over the next couple of months. And all of this as the team continues to deal with the fallout from Larry Nassar. Nassar has been convicted of abusing more than 250 women and girls under the guise of medical treatment. And some of those athletes said that the abuse happened while they were on international trips.
A life and death situation on a desolate Pike County road. A woman is in a rollover crash. She's trapped in her car and stopped breathing, and help was minutes away. Well, as Brendan Keefe reports, our chief investigator, a stranger stopped to help, and it cost him his freedom.
The vehicle has overturned a couple of times. There is entrapment. The doors will not open.
The female is unconscious.
We couldn't get the doors open.
They're going to need life flags.
Unresponsive, and they do not believe she's breathing. It's a possible fatality.
I was westbound here on 109, fishtailed back to the right, back to the left. She hit this culvert with her front end, and she flipped end over end twice, came to rest on her wheels. Her car landed approximately right here, reaching in the car. She had no breath. Fortunately, with the help of the 3 Good Samaritans, we did get the door open.
He saved my life.
How serious was this crash?
It was very serious. They didn't think I was going to make it.
They thought you were going to die?
Yes, sir. And it took 7 hours for surgeons to put all my spinal cord back together, and then they fused it together with Metal rods.
Becca Buchanan survived with one thing not broken: her faith in the heroism of complete strangers.
Given everything you've been through, do you still feel lucky?
I don't feel lucky. I feel blessed.
Blessed?
Blessed.
Why?
I drive that road every day. I've never seen Mr. Rick, but for that day, for our paths to cross, just so he could save my life, I feel blessed. And I'm blessed to know that there are still good people out there like him.
This is Rick Rickerson. I'm a retired battalion chief, Griffin Fire Department. I'm on the scene. She is unresponsive, and at this time, I don't think she's breathing.
That's right, Rick Rickerson has been on hundreds of rescues as a career firefighter, but this time the retired chief was the first responder.
It opened her airway and her mouth was full of blood, and I cleared the blood again, and it was probably another 45 seconds before the second breath. And somewhere in that point between the second and third breath, that's when I heard, whose truck is this? He said, I need you to move your truck. And I looked at my patient, I looked back at him, and I said, I'm not leaving this patient. He turned sideways and he said, sir, I said I want this truck moved. And again, I said, I'm not leaving my patient.
I come close to, I had to really control myself to keep from arresting him just while ago.
The man there in plain clothes is Georgia State Patrol Sergeant Scott Jeter, an instructor at the State Police Academy.
Hey, buddy. Hey,
about to place the retired firefighter in handcuffs seconds after he saved Becca's life.
All I asked you to do is just move your vehicle.
And you know if I leave that patient with two civilians,
I understand all
and that patient goes back, not breathing, I opened up her airway to make her breathe.
I've already told you my whole background.
I don't care about your background. I care about what happened right here. You're mad at me because I don't care about your background.
He kept following me, telling me he wanted me to hear him out, telling me he was a paramedic. He was once a paramedic. And I questioned him. I said, you're a paramedic. You didn't put your hands on that patient. You didn't help us open that door. All paramedics had vehicle extrication training, but he didn't do anything to assist us with this patient.
The keys weren't in Rickerson's pocket. They were still in the ignition. The engine was running when another Good Samaritan volunteered to jump in and move his truck out of the way before the first ambulance arrived on the scene. What is the most pressing thing on that scene at that moment?
By far, the life of this lady. She had only had 2 or 3 breaths. I was prepared to breathe for her if she was going to stop breathing again. I wasn't leaving that patient.
Rick Rickerson watched the Life Flight helicopter take off while handcuffed in the back of the trooper's car.
He's locking his ass up.
The retired fire chief spent the next several hours in the Pike County Jail.
What were you charged with?
Obstruction of a law enforcement officer.
You weren't rewarded with anything but a pair of handcuffs.
I was rewarded by the hug from that lady when I went to visit her at the hospital and her 5-year-old daughter. That was a reward.
He walked in, hiding behind a dozen of roses, and he just grabbed me and said, you're okay, you're okay, you're okay. I'm so glad to see you're okay.
Were there tears?
Oh my gosh, yes. The whole room was crying.
She went end over end right there, and it just happened to land on the wheels right here.
Not everybody will stop, and not everybody can do what you could do. And I'm just thankful, and I'm sure she's thankful.
He saved my life. I owe him everything.
I would not do anything different. The outcome is this lady is alive. There's no cross on the side of the road on that highway.
So Rickerson is still facing charges for all this?
Yeah, the Griffin DA is still prosecuting this. The crash happened back in October. Becca was in the hospital for weeks and then spent months in rehab. She only got out just before Christmas.
And this is all because of his truck was in the way. Was it ever moved?
Yeah, it was moved within seconds, Vinny, by another Good Samaritan because the keys were in it, the engine was running, and Rick Rickerson, as fire chief in Griffin, actually wrote the book on where to park emergency vehicles. Responding to incidents like this, he parked exactly where his own manual said he should have parked his command car.
Unbelievable. Thanks so much, Brendan. We appreciate it. You know, here on The Late Feed, we often celebrate law enforcement, those brave men and women who risk their lives every day to keep us safe. Like the APD officers who rushed into that burning car under I-85 back in September. Or firefighters like the ones who saved this family from a burning home. Or everyday heroes who do something great. And in these stories, what we're really celebrating are people doing the right thing regardless of the circumstances. And sometimes circumstances aren't crystal clear about what's right and what's wrong in our system of justice. Yes, we have laws, but sometimes when those laws are violated, there's more to the story. That's why our system allows for something called discretion. Like the discretion a police officer exercises when they pull someone over and let them go because of the circumstances. Or a more extreme situation, when a prosecutor or a judge may let someone go because they understand the entire situation. Like the judge who let this man go after he attempted to attack in court the man who molested his 3 daughters.
Well, I'm going to have to get something.
In the case of Rick Rickerson tonight, the discretion necessary to do the right thing is a no-brainer. Dismiss the charges. Unfortunately, someone isn't using their brain. And when that happens, we're going to point it out, and we are going to hold the powerful accountable.